Hello, I am Metadol and I am Korean. The reason I first mentioned that I am Korean is because the meanings of the names Geocentrism and Heliocentrism in Korea differ from their commonly understood meanings. Generally, the term geocentrism means the Earth-centered theory, and heliocentrism means the sun-centered theory. However, in Korea, geocentrism is referred to as Cheondongseol, where Cheon means sky, Dong means to move, and seol means theory. Heliocentrism is called Jidongseol, where Je means land, which refers to the earth, and Dong also means to move. Of course, the meanings and contents of geocentrism and heliocentrism are generally understood in Korea as they are elsewhere. But as mentioned earlier, the meanings behind the names are a bit different. Hey everyone! Did you know that the belief that only heliocentrism, or Jidongseol, as it is called in Korea, is correct, contradicts the general theory of relativity? In other words, it's the idea that only the motion of the Earth is a fact. This notion clearly violates Einstein's general theory of relativity. When we view the rotation and revolution of the Earth from a non-inertial frame with respect to the general theory of relativity, we should recognize Cheondongseol, or geocentrism, which is the perception of the sky moving when viewed from the Earth's surface, and Jidongseol, or heliocentrism, which is the observation of the Earth moving when viewed from outside the Earth, as equally valid perspectives, just as we consider both realms from the perspective of relative velocity in classical mechanics. However, the belief that only Jidongseol, or heliocentrism, is correct reflects an absolute conclusion based on the perspective of viewing the Earth from outside. Hence, it is a mistaken stereotype that contradicts Einstein's general theory of relativity. In other words, we cannot definitively state either Cheondongseol, geocentrism, where the sky appears to move, or Jidongseol, heliocentrism, where the Earth appears to move from just one perspective. While it's clear that there is movement, from the perspective of the Earth's surface, the sky seems to be revolving, and from the perspective outside the Earth seems to be moving. So we need to regard both positions equally from their relative perspectives. Of course, the concepts of Cheondongseol, geocentrism, and Jidongseol, heliocentrism, mentioned earlier, are different from the geocentrism that Copernicus's heliocentrism displaced during that time. Therefore, the evidence presented when heliocentrism suppressed geocentrism back in the day cannot be seen as proof that everything mentioned earlier was wrong. This is because the geocentrism that was rejected by the evidence of heliocentrism when Copernicus or Galileo pushed geocentrism aside was not the Cheondongseol geocentrism that viewed the sky rotating as it appeared from within the Earth, as mentioned before. It was a different kind of geocentrism than the actual Cheondongseol geocentrism that we can observe through scientific observation today. Furthermore, the heliocentrism of that time also differs from the heliocentrism that science understands now. Therefore, the actual Cheondongseol geocentrism and Jidongseol heliocentrism, viewed from the perspective of general relativity, are fundamentally different from the geocentrism and heliocentrism of ancient times. The assertion that geocentrism and heliocentrism should be viewed equally from the perspective of general relativity is the theory of Kwon. Kwon Myung-hoon is a monk named Deokin in Korea. The Korean name of Kwon's theory is Cheon. Here, Cheonji is the same Cheonji used when discussing Cheondongseol and Jidongseol. And he further states that both geocentrism and heliocentrism are subjective metaverse phenomena that demonstrate the workings of the mind. If you go this far, the name of the theory becomes Simdongseol. Here, Sim means Cheonji mind and Dong means to move, as mentioned earlier. If you want to know more about this, please refer to the upcoming English version of the Cheondongseol ebook. The Korean version of the Cheondongseol ebook is already out. It's published by UPaper. /upaper.kr. Well then, goodbye.